What's up everybody, man? Back, welcome to a brand new video, and today we're going to be doing another Godzilla Kong news roundup. In this video, we will be continuing our chronological journey through the development and release of Godzilla Kong the New Empire and the next MonsterVerse movie by talking about events that happened in February 2024. And in this one, we will be getting into a very juicy article written about the New Empire with directors Takashi Yamazaki and Adam Wingard speaking on the movie, in which we get some details teased about a lot of the history of New Empire that maybe you don't quite get from watching the movie itself. So let's jump into it. As always, I want to start off with some artwork, and this first piece comes to us from Sakura Godzilla, and this is their Mechagodzilla head art. Incredible, it's looking great, it's so fantastic, I love it. Mechagodzilla 2021's design is so interesting, it's just got so much going on. Probably the most intricate Mechagodzilla other than the anime one, but I particularly love the way that it's the decapitated head with the bones of Ghidorah sticking out the neck there. That is so cool. Speaking of, they updated the artwork to add the shadow of Ghidorah over it. That is so freaking cool. I really like that. I thought that was a lot of fun, so I wanted to show that off. This next one comes to us from Endo, and this is their Mothra artwork. I really love it. It's the Mothra 2019 design. It's very fuzzy, very cute, and I love the lighting on it. It's so pretty, so I wanted to show this one off as well. I think this one is great. Next up, my buddy Alan Maxon shared this wonderful behind-the-scenes photo from the set of Godzilla King of the Monsters of the Ghidorah brothers all tied up in their mocap rigs. They are roaring at TJ Storm, who's holding a little Godzilla. I believe this was to celebrate wrapping production. As you can see, there's a little hat on Godzilla's head, but this was obviously during the VFX shoot for Godzilla King of the Monsters, in which Alan Maxon, Jason Lyles, and Richard Dorton got to bring the Golden Demise to life. This is a very special photo to me because I own a print of it. This was brought to Anime Matsuri 2019 by the Ghidorah brothers, and this was brought at a time when we, the public, had not yet seen what the behind-the-scenes process of bringing Ghidorah to life looked like. It was a closely kept secret, and they were showing people in private. I'm very grateful that they signed and gave me the copy of it at the end of our trip there to celebrate our friendship together. It means so much to me, and it sits in a very special place in this room just off camera. But Alan posted this in February last year, celebrating that it had been 6 years since the shoot of Godzilla King of the Monsters. I guess the VFX shooting for King of the Monsters was done in February 2018, so pretty early on there, which means it's now been 7 years. Oh my lord, it's been 7 years since they did that. That's brutal to think about, but I want to share some love. I love those guys so much. The GXK Funko Pop figures were revealed, with Godzilla Evolved, Kong, Scar King, Suko, Shimo, Sleepy Godzilla, Big Godzilla, and Big Kong. Lots of fun. I have reviewed all of those on the channel in case you're wondering. Hiya revealed their Godzilla Re-Evolved version, Godzilla 2024, from Godzilla Kong the New Empire. This is a $51 figure. It looks tremendous. It looks just like the Dory Goji. They did a fantastic job with this thing. I love all the details on it. It is a wonderful version of this design, although I do not know why it's called the re-evolved version rather than pre-evolved. I guess that was just a weird little labeling thing when they launched this figure. Obviously, it is very similar to their Godzilla 2021 and their Godzilla 2019, but I do believe they made some tiny differences to it. Circle K launched a Godzilla Kong menu. There was a Kong breakfast sandwich, there was an icy cup, and then there was a Titan Toffee Crunch bar that was released. Now, I tried so hard to find this stuff. I seriously went to Circle K pretty much every other day to try and find this stuff, and it was never available. Every time I went, no matter what time of day, they would claim that they had just run out. That being said, my brother was able to get me this Circle K cup. He said the Kong burger was just not great. But here's the Godzilla Circle K cup, and it is so much less saturated in real life than it looks in the advertisement. What the heck is up with that? Pretty neat little icy cup though. The GXK X Carl's Jr. collab was revealed with the Godzilla burger, which looks pretty freaking yummy if I do say so myself. The Kong burger, which it feels like if I ate it, it would give me heartburn and actually kill me, but it looks delicious. Something about this one is so yummy with the 2 cheeses. And then the Scar fries, which I feel like would just be the best of all. Unfortunately, this collab was not available in the United States, but it does look pretty yummy and also pretty deadly. Cavity Colors launched their Godzilla Kong the New Empire line. I love the artwork on it. It is wonderful, incredible stuff. I wear that all the time. It's just so well done. They launched shirts, hoodies, which are awesome. I did not get one of those. I love the tie-dye Godzilla shirt. That one's great. The Scar King shirt's a lot of fun too, and then they launched some sweatpants as well. And then there is a Kong shirt as well. I can't believe this, and I never really heard much else from it, but Godzilla Kong: The New Empire had a Lords Mobile collaboration event. I love that poster. Kong looks goofy. I just think that's a lot of fun. Godzilla also looks kind of silly. I just think that's so silly that they collaborated with Lords Mobile, so I wanted to shout that out. The golden Cambodian poster for New Empire was revealed, and this one is just incredible. It is lovely to look at. I think that's a wonderful poster, as well as a 1 month poster was released with Godzilla and Kong running in front of the pyramids. That 1 month poster is obviously based on the main poster for Godzilla Kong: The New Empire that also came out in February, looking pretty good. And then the Godzilla and Kong uniting image was released of the two of them roaring in Egypt together. Pretty awesome. The Puppy Bowl teaser was released, hyping up both the Super Bowl and the Godzilla Kong trailer, which was coming out in February, and then the Godzilla Kong: New Empire trailer 2 dropped on Valentine's Day and was a pretty huge hit. It is the biggest trailer for that movie overall. Director Takashi Yamazaki of Godzilla Minus One celebrated, saying it is an incredibly fun and gorgeous movie, encouraging people to watch it in theaters. Following this was a large Empire magazine article which got really in-depth on Godzilla Kong: The New Empire. Getting into Godzilla and Kong's dynamic in the movie, Adam Wingard explains that there was a bit of an uneasy truce between Godzilla and Kong so long as Godzilla remains in control of the surface world while Kong remains in control of Hollow Earth. I hope in the future we move away from Godzilla's ego and him wanting to be the king of the monsters and get a little bit more into his noble stance as a guardian of nature. I thought that was a pretty cool thing that the 2014 movie King of the Monsters had. He can still be the king of the monsters, I just don't like the ego that it brought with him. Godzilla kind of became a jerk. Wingard says that this was made as a buddy cop movie, which explains why Godzilla became a jerk, because every buddy cop movie needs the wholesome hero and the jerk. He says that Godzilla's not really just waiting around hoping to help Kong out whenever he's in need, and so stepping in to save the day is going to be something that he'll have to be forced to do rather than he'll want to do. This was inspired by classic 80s films, but mostly Lethal Weapon, which was also a big inspiration for Godzilla vs. Kong, if you remember. Because Godzilla and Kong can't actually communicate, it leads to lots of misunderstandings, including their big brawl in Egypt, which is something that I never really thought about before. The fact that Kong is capable of communicating with other Kongs and with humanity, and it shows a level of intelligence that I guess I never realized Godzilla straight up lacks. Like, Godzilla cannot communicate with Kong. I guess in my head I'm like, yeah, Titans, they can probably talk to each other, but it makes sense. They're not all the same species, and Godzilla certainly does not understand Kong in Egypt. So I guess it makes sense that Godzilla just truly does not have the capacity to understand Titans that aren't himself on a communicative level. He can probably understand them on an emotional level, you know, to some degree, but I do think that's really fascinating to think about, and that's a really cool thing to play up the fact that there will always be a disconnect between Godzilla and Kong because of that. Kind of sad, actually. I feel like Kong could be a really good friend to Godzilla if Godzilla could literally comprehend him. As far as Godzilla's evolution goes, Adam Wingard reveals that he's been training a lot, which I don't know if I'd say that. He spends like a couple days training during the movie, if that, but yeah, I guess Adam Wingard teases that Godzilla's been training a lot because he knows a big threat is coming, and so he's trying to get stronger before that threat catches up to him, implying that this has happened before to Godzilla, where he's realized a threat that's too big for him is coming, and so he said to undergo a big training routine to get himself in shape. Wingard teases, you're gonna see lots of different versions of Godzilla in this movie, and he's not wrong. We see standard Godzilla, we see standard Godzilla energized, we see Godzilla evolved, and we see Godzilla evolved energized. So there's a lot going on there. Getting into the major Empire magazine report here, Godzilla's pink evolution was officially explained by Adam Wingard in a very strange way. He says that it was to pay tribute to the colorful, outlandish Showa era. The only monster that has any sort of pink in the Showa series is Mechagodzilla, who has the rainbow beams. I kind of think it's weird that we didn't just say that it was inspired by Godzilla Millennium, who already was rocking purple spines, which look very similar to the spines of this Godzilla. In fact, they're also the really jagged long ones, which inspired the increased length and sharpness of this Godzilla spines. But whatever, I guess it throws back to the Showa series in that it's of bright color, and we remember the Showa series very bright. The real reason was followed up on here. Adam Wingard says pink is just simply his favorite color. He likes the color a lot, that's why he picked it. That's the answer that I like. That's just straight up the truth. It's like, why did Godzilla's beam turn purple in Shin Godzilla? Hideaki Anno just likes the color purple, and I'm fine with that. I do think it's funny that people try to justify the pink atomic breath, saying like pink and magenta represents the higher concentration of radiation and its energy and it's more powerful and whatever. It's because it's Adam Wingard's favorite color. Sometimes it's just okay for a director to be like, I want to put my spin on things. I would prefer a story justification. I too would prefer if it was because it was the more energetic form of radiation. I like that answer a lot more than just because it's his fave, but at the end of the day, I don't think we should discredit Wingard's opinion. line here. It's his favorite color and it looks neat. It makes his Godzilla pop. That's why. It's cool. What I love here is that Wingard teases that Godzilla has probably, he doesn't say definitively, but has probably done this a lot in the past. Absorbing other titans, which I think is very interesting. The fact that he literally absorbs parts of Tiamat's DNA in order to renew himself. And the fact that he's probably done that to other titans in the past, I find very interesting. I would love to know what a Godzilla pre-2014 would have looked like in that case. And in doing so, Godzilla winds up, according to Wingard, bulking up for threats he knows he can't beat. I don't think this Godzilla bulked up at all. He lost a lot of weight. Very lean dude. But I understand, he's more muscular, I get it. Interestingly, it's stated that Kong is still the emotional heavy lifter of the film, with Adam Wingard saying what I've been saying for years since 2019, and people have been upset with me for saying it, but I'm glad to hear that I'm not the only one. The director of these movies agrees. Kong is the true hero of the MonsterVerse franchise. He is the closest thing we have to a human lead for the Titans, and he has a full range of emotions, grounding us in his performance and his character. He is our entry point to the MonsterVerse, and I love that. Kong really is our bridge into the world of the Titans on a level that we could not achieve without him. So for all the people who are sick of Kong, the dude serves a vital function, and while I too would like more meaningful screen time for Godzilla, don't discredit the eighth wonder of the world, okay? I also think it's funny that it's revealed here Kong's toothache and replacement in this movie was inspired by how Adam Wingard had a real-life traumatic chronic toothache while making the movie You're Next, and so he worked it into this movie as some sort of catharsis to work through that past pain. Scar King is said to be an evil dictator-type character that lusts for power. Finally, a big spotlight was given on a Godzilla Kong X Minus One sort of crossover here. Adam Wingard was asked about that movie, while as Takashi Yamazaki was asked about this movie. Wingard says that Minus One is fantastic, and one of the best Godzilla movies he's ever seen. He says that while he's following in the later 60s and 70s Showa Godzillas, where Godzilla's the hero, Minus One shows the complete opposite, where Godzilla is more of a metaphor in Minus One, reacting to the character's emotional states in a godly way, which is far from the Godzilla in GXK, who himself is emotional. Wingard loves that you get to see more Godzilla than ever before in the modern age, and that you get to see both sides of him represented at the same time. Director Takashi Yamazaki seems to echo this, sharing that Hollywood's use of the Godzilla IP is very interesting and different to him. He celebrates that Godzilla can survive and endure many different interpretations. He views the Hollywood Godzilla as a more fun version of what Godzilla simply can be. He says it harkens back to a very specific point in Godzilla's Toho history. Yamazaki says that within that genre of Godzilla media where he's the hero, he thinks they're doing a good job showing what the humans are doing versus what the kaiju are doing. There was a little Yamazaki spotlight here. I'll breeze through it really quickly. We've covered pretty much all of this in my Minus One coverage so far, so there's nothing too big to get into here, but when asked about Minus One, Yamazaki reveals he has a lot of relief in making the movie. He says he spent his entire career as someone who wanted to make a Godzilla movie, and he now lives in a world where he is someone who has made a Godzilla movie, and that this career goal has finally been satisfied. Yamazaki emphasizes that Godzilla is part beast and part god, and how hard he worked to recapture the fear factor of the original Godzilla. He says the response to the film, to Godzilla Minus One, praising the balance between the human drama and the kaiju action, is also a huge relief, because he worked incredibly hard during the creative process to achieve just that. He says that the response to the human storyline in particular and Shikishima's personal journey prove that this was a movie worth making, as it showed what Godzilla could be to a whole new audience. Yamazaki confirms once again his desires to make a sequel. He states that Shikishima's war seems to be over, but Godzilla's might not be. He says his goal for a sequel is to balance the serious tone of the human drama with the kaiju action in a way that doesn't take away from the core human story. He says when asked about potentially winning the Oscar, which he had yet to do at the time this article was written, Yamazaki reveals that his dream's already been achieved of making this film, and that he's received all the awards he needs in the form of Godzilla, so he doesn't need the Oscar, but he'd sure like it. That is so wholesome. Godzilla's the only award you need? That's so cute. I love it, man. Well, that'll do it for this one, you guys. I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons over on Patreon. It is through the support of the patrons that I'm able to continue to make videos like this for you guys. If you want to check out the Patreon, you can use the link in the description below, where you can get early access to content, access to the Discord community, and more. If that's not your thing, please consider joining the channel as a channel member. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you all next time for the next one. D-Man out.